me tripping, laces, going places, seeing faces, doing things I never do at all. To let you to break my fall. Be on me just one night, be on me, it's alright. Be on me just for now, be on me anyhow.
Hey everybody, it's Billy at BTUFF, man. I got something pretty cool today. Today we're gonna be wrapping the side of a race car. David Mayhew from Finalizing Signs does a lot of wraps everything, right? Is there anything you haven't wrapped? You've wrapped everything, right?
There's some stuff, but not much. We've done a lot of things.
Yeah. So David is gonna do something interesting today. He's gonna actually do an instruction how to wrap your own race car. A lot of people will order the wraps and install them themselves.
Yeah, we get a lot of people. We ship a lot of stuff off, and they're always asking, well, what do I do? And just like you the other day, where do I start? And it's so hard to explain without just showing somebody. So this is gonna work out perfect, killing two birds with one stone. Get your car wrapped and show people how to get it done in the future when they're short-handed or just need to do it themselves.
Right. Time is obviously sometimes tight, right?
Yeah, it's hard for people to bring their cars down here sometimes, and we can't always go to their location. The one yesterday was up in Oregon. Like, they're just all over the place, so it'll come in handy, I think, for people. All
right, very good. I can't wait to see it. We're gonna wrap the new BTUFF car. It's got a new design David put together. Let's get into it.
The first thing, when you get a wrap and you get it out of the box, first thing to do is lay it flat. The more it's wrinkled up and the more it's curled up, the harder you're gonna have when you go to install the wrap. So as soon as we get them out of a box, start to open them up and let them lay flat for a few hours if you can. The cooler the better for the most part, anywhere around here. So we try to do the wraps in the morning in the summertime. In the wintertime you've got all day. But as the temperature goes up, the vinyl gets super soft, so it stretches on you and it just makes it a lot harder as the temperature, especially depending on the color. Like the red gets really soft, the blacks will get really soft. Anything with a lot of ink on it, it'll tend to stretch on you, and then this section is going to stretch more than that, so it just makes it really difficult to install once you start stretching everything. It's really hard when we've got measurement sheets we send out, or people say, oh, the body's the same. Body's typically not exactly the same ever, so we try to put a little fudge room in there. We get the measurements from you guys, and we try to do our best. If we measure it here in the shop, it's a lot easier. When I'm laying it here, I can go right on the computer and I know it's exactly what it is. Where you might be measuring from here, I might be measuring for 1/4 inch off, an inch off. When you cut your number off, doesn't look the greatest. So the measurements and getting everything centered up is really crucial.
Is it better a two-man job? I mean, I know you're doing it by yourself, but or do you think? I mean,
for your first time, yeah, it definitely helps to have somebody that can sit there and hold it for you and do. When we pull the backing off, it's a big piece that you're working with, so you're going to want a little bit of help for sure. Here's the scary part for everybody the first time. You just got to grab the front, pull it down, make sure you don't get too far. Bring it down where you got a nice straight line right there. Grab your X-Acto or knife, whatever you're going to use. Make sure you're not cutting into the body all the way down. here you just want to take it, and I just start this first inch all the way down. Just go up nice and easy.
I think what you just showed is the part where a lot of people make a mistake, because a lot of people will start on a corner rather than trying to do the whole thing.
Start in the middle, work your way out, and just get this, just worry about this first 2 inches, or this first inch right now, right above where you cut the backing paper off. Once that's stuck, you know it's not going to get away from you now. It's stuck, it's right where you want it to be.
Do you cut the vinyl after you set it all, or do you leave it in one piece?
No, we'll cut certain areas, but for right now we want to work our way up into this crease. That spot's a little tough because you got that bolt there, but we'll come back to that. You don't want to bridge that little crease. You want to work the vinyl up into it. So if you just went straight across it from here up to there, then it's going to have a tendency to want to lift. If you work it into that crease and then up, it'll stay down a lot.
Oh, you mean air pocket, right?
Just if you like, you can come from here and go right up to there, and you could push it down and it'll stay for a minute. But when the sun hits it and over time, it's going to want to bubble up right through there on your on your seam.
Yeah.
Once we're at this point, I will just stretch it tight. And if it looks, see how smooth it looks? It doesn't look like it's going to be a big old ball. Just come across. Sail panel.
What is that tool you have there?
This is just a regular squeegee with the felt edge on it, just so it doesn't scratch your. It's pretty much managed, like you have to have one to install the stuff correctly.
You can get that where can people get those?
Any sign shop, wherever you get your wrap, they've got these and they can get them.
So if someone orders a wrap from you, then get one from you?
Yeah, absolutely. Then, so now we went over that big bolt just by going up above it and then coming back down, and we'll come back later and cut that out. But now everything heading up this way is looking pretty flat. Don't be afraid to yank on the stuff. It's got laminates nice and thick. When it's not super hot out, same thing like that. Don't worry about coming back and getting that bubble out. Just work it out with your hands.
Does vinyl
it's
actually
all air release vinyl? So unless you crease it, you're not going to get bubbles. Same thing right there. Don't worry about peeling this stuff back up. Just push it out with your finger and keep moving on. The more you pull up, the more it stretches, the more it's not going to lay back down flat. So when you're squeegeeing, try to squeegee at a 45-degree angle, push the bubbles out, push a little bit of force. It's all pressure sensitive adhesive, so you got to push the stuff down pretty hard to get the stuff out. But as it's going down, you can see all the wrinkles are just pushing right out. Make sure if it looks flat, it's going to lay flat. All those rivets just go right over for right now. Move on to the A-post. Came out pretty good. Same thing with even with the felt squeegee, like you can see all these little scratches, just fine scratches in the wrap. When you go back over everything, same thing with these rivets. You can see the big air bubble right now, so we'll push everything we can by hand and come back over with a little heat. If you don't have a torch, I don't recommend a torch if it's your first time.
I bet people blow holes through their vinyl pretty easy.
Get a heat gun or a hair dryer, whatever you have. Push the stuff down, and you can see how nice and down the rivets are now.
Oh wow, yeah, that made a big difference.
You can see all those scratches go right away. And then your wrap's nice and shiny still.
Whoa.
So
Yeah, that's cool.
You'll get a lot of these little scratches when you're putting it on because you're pushing hard to make sure the stuff goes down. That just go back over it. Everything
Kind of melts the outside of the vinyl, right?
Just shrinks it all up and makes it stick good. Just the more time you take, the better it's going to come out. Don't try to rush doing any of this stuff. Go back over them 2 or 3 times if you have to. Use your palm, your fingers, whatever.
That came out good.
Whatever you need.
Cool.
Start by cutting just right around the head of the bolt. Just nice and close. That gives the air somewhere to release to. It's only so much going to go through the vinyl. You want to give it somewhere to go. And since we did stretch this, a little heat and it'll shrink the vinyl right back up around it.
On the, do you leave it on the washer part?
No, now we'll come back. Now that we can get a nice defining edge around the around the bolt, we can cut it.
Yeah, because if you left that and you took the screw off, it'd be a mess,
it's
right?
gonna all pull out. So anytime you have this kind of stuff, you just want to cut nice and clean right around the edge. With these big washers, you've got a pretty good edge to go to, and then
just leave the sticker on the
you can leave it, or if you take them on and off a lot, like I would, like on the micro sprints or whatever, you get 100 Zeus buttons and you take them on and off every week. You don't want to be trying to find that one design to go on that one hole.
Yeah,
you're not taking the body off all the time, so like it's something we could leave for sure.
Yeah, looks clean. There it is.
We'll fix that, and then trim everything out again. Same kind of deal. You can save that, give that to the customer. Now we're working with just this back piece, which is much easier and controllable than trying to do this whole side at once. Because anytime the bodies are rounded this way, which they always typically are, you want to work your way across the vinyl back and forth. Don't let it hit yet, and just back and forth, squeegee at a 90 or a 45, I mean, to the way you're going. Just work it back and forth and keep pushing everything out. No need to pull all the backing off at once, just gives you a little something more to pull on when it's not just the vinyl. So just keep pulling it off slow, a little at a time. Material's pretty good material, so don't be afraid to stick it down and then rip it back up if you have to. You could get this pretty messed up and it'll come back to you. So now we've got that down there.
The biggest part on stretching is if you stretch an area, it's hard sometimes to get it lined back up. You know what I mean? You can get yourself in trouble.
If you stretched up here, by the time you get down here, you're going to be in a world of hurt. It's just everything compounded. There's only so many places for it to go as you start working your way down. So now that we've gone over this brace, we'll get the bolt, put these 3 center braces back in so that we can take these bottom braces off, and put this center one in, or these center 2 now that we've gone over those holes, so that we can take those bolts out and then work our way down. So there's a difference in quality of vinyls too. Some you'll be able to do that and others you won't. So I mean, that's the price difference sometimes from some places to other places. You want to make sure you're getting a nice quality vinyl that's nice and thick with the laminate so that you can pull up and push down, and helps protect your body panels when you're going to beat them back flat. The thicker the vinyl for the race car stuff is always a little bit better. for a vehicle, the vinyl is much thinner so that it'll conform better. We use like it's a good mid-grade vinyl for this because it's compromised between thickness, thinness, and still has the good properties when you go to put it on for your average guy.
It's amazing how much of a beating these vinyls can take. They can take, I mean, you can sit there and pound them flat with a hammer, you know what I mean?
It'll
and
save your body for sure.
Yeah.
It'll last twice as long with the wrap on it versus not having one. And from the stands, even when they're pretty beat up, they still look pretty good. Covers up a lot. Same thing as we did on the back, just bring it down to the middle. Bolts started where we've already been. And these edges are super important to really push hard and get that vinyl active, all the adhesive activated so that it sticks down really well. You're pressure washing. Once that starts coming up, it's coming back. It's coming up.
Yeah. Especially in dirt racing, right? Where mud's hitting this like all the time.
Constantly. Push it down nice and good. Come through and just with a nice clean blade, you'll get a nice smooth cut. Especially if it's pulled nice and tight, you can see our lines nice and smooth. It's just gonna cut, if all goes well, just nice and smooth. Try to angle it down a little bit. You don't want anything getting caught. If you cut and you cut like that, like that right there is gonna end up getting ripped off. Get a nice clean cut like this all the way across. Push the edge down. You're not gonna have anywhere for it to start pulling up. That's what you want to eliminate. Same thing through here. Just make sure you got your edge defined really well. I always try to 45 my blade to where it's gonna cut the most off, as opposed to coming in here like this. Come in like that, you're gonna get that little lip. You come up the other way, it's going to cut nice and smooth. Cut a little closer to the body.
I will say you make it look easy. You know, you're a professional, of course. You've done a few of these, right?
A couple, thousand maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
like anything, right? The more you do it,
the better you're gonna get. There's probably guys out there that look at me and tell they got their own way, might not be doing it how they like, but it seems to work out the way. Doing it this way seems pretty easy, and most people can figure it out. So then you got a nice,
that's clean
cut.
Yeah.
Come back. Same thing, put your blade angle this direction so you get all that stuff off. It might not look quite as good going out, leaving the shop when it's not wrapped all the way around the edges, because you do have a little bit of the seam showing right here on the back side. But in 4 races from now, which that's when it's, I mean, by Monday,
yeah, by
it's
Monday,
gonna look a lot better when it's stuck on good and it's not flopping around, peeling off all over the place. Here's a good example of something when you're going back over everything, getting ready to cut this out. Notice we missed that big spot. So you can see that's a pretty big bubble. just kind of lightly press in the middle.
Oh, wow.
Wasn't big enough to crease. I mean, it's completely gone. It's, you gotta take your time and go back over the stuff. And
it's pretty amazing.
If you don't wrinkle it and crease the thing when you're putting it on, all that little stuff's gonna come out.
It's pretty interesting stuff because this stuff, air actually goes through it, right?
Yeah, it
air.
comes right through the material, which is different from people that used to do vinyl back in the day. The regular vinyl would never do that, so you would wet apply it, and people try to do that with this stuff, and you don't need to. It actually won't stick as good. It's designed to go on dry, so don't spray Windex on it. Don't do any of that stuff when you're trying to get it. It just won't hold up as long. Having a nice sharp X-Acto blade's always key. Earlier I had one that wasn't quite as sharp, and you could see the cuts weren't as good. And when you're cutting, if you can just give it a little, pull it tight like that a little bit, it helps cut a lot smoother. Everything's Friday. That's, as a racer, I mean, I've raced for,
and we're here Friday, right?
20 years. But
we're here on a Friday.
It's not new to me. Like, the car's never ready. We're going racing tonight, and if we had more time, like, we're working on them tomorrow again. Like, I know they're never done, so we try to fit the people in when we can. Because like I said, I understand that there's always work to do on them, and the stickers are usually the last thing thought about. Go back over these edges really good. See right here where it rolls over. Tried to cut up in there a little ways,
so it doesn't have any overlap.
Just so you don't want it starting to go. It would stick on that roll for a minute, but over time it won't. And we can come back and now it looks complete.
Yeah, it's cool.
Other side, I didn't do a really good job of getting it defined, so my cut went off a little bit. Now that's...
The blade makes a big difference, right?
Yeah, like I was a little dull blade on the last one, put a sharp blade in, get that edge defined. Now you got a nice line right down there for your seam, and you've cut your workload in half. You've got half there and half here, and now it's just like the other side. Just this panel is nice and straight, so it should go pretty good. Just back and forth. You see I angle the blade or the squeegee back and forth as you're coming down. And if right here, if it looks nice and smooth, it's laying on flat, it's gonna go right on.
It's like butter.
You start pulling it this way and squeeze it. You just gotta get it looking smooth, and it'll go right on.
All right, so you're purposely messing this up.
Yeah, just to show people what the material do. Like, you put a little fingerprint, you stretch it too far, you get up there and you're looking like this, and you're like, what do you do now? You could come back like I said on the other side. It's all black up here, so finish this A-pillar, cut around it, and then work your way back that way. Or with your heat gun, you can stretch it with the heat if you need to as well. Now you've come in there, lift it up, it's shrunk enough now. You can get it right down flat again. All that stuff will come right on out. Try to find a smooth edge you can start on. Now that that part's down, just lift it up a little bit, push that stuff right out. What looked like it was gonna be a wrinkled mess, you go back, it's like that, and then same thing, give it a little heat. and stuff come out.
Whoa.
Push your rivets out, get nice, push that stuff down before you cut it so you can, got a nice defining edge of where you need to cut. If you have it nice and loose like this, it's not always clear where you're gonna want to be cutting. So
You actually race some pretty top tier stuff, right?
yeah, I've raced everything from go-karts at Santa Maria kart track out the airport to the local track here out on Alfred Harrell Highway, and all the way to the NASCAR Cup Series for Phil Parsons in a Cup car. Like, done everything at some point or another, so just been around racing a long time.
It's interesting, your story, because the way you got started, you can't really do that now.
Yeah, no, racing's turned into a money sport, and it's all about marketing and what you can bring to the table. So any young, like, driving talent matters to a point. You can't just go tear stuff up every week, but the end of the day, that doesn't matter. Like, if you've got the money and the sponsor to put on the car, you're gonna go racing. Promote yourself well if you're a young driver out there, and use every advantage you can to what you can bring to the table for the sponsors, because you're gonna have to find the sponsors. The days of somebody like Kyle Larson, I'd be surprised if he could do it over again as good as he is, head and shoulders above everybody, in my opinion. Like, I don't even think somebody that level could start work at go-karts right now and get to the Cup level without having his own sponsors and bringing the money. It's unfortunate what racing's come to, but it's gotten so technical at every level. The sport mods, I'm sure, are the same way. Like, everything from go-karts all the way up just costs so much now that there's not owners that can just afford to put kids in cars like they used to. I was super fortunate throughout my career to have great people help all along the way and get the chances I have had to do it. Like, I wouldn't trade it for the world. Like what me and Taylor over there pumping gas for tonight's race. Just go have fun. Have fun with your kid. If you're getting into it, don't take it serious. Just, I tell them all the time, we're here for fun. If we're not having fun, we'll go do something else. We'll go to your cabin and hang out at the lake. Like,
there you go.
Can't take it too serious.
Would you give me all you got to give me? Would you break my fall? Cause you got me tripping.
There you go. That's pretty much the completed product. We'll go back and put all the body bolts back in, do one last check over everything before it leaves the shop. We like to roll the stuff outside, let the sun sit on it for an hour or two. Anything that's going to shrink or stretch, it's going to happen right away, pretty much in the first hour. If you have any little problems, you'll know about it. If you have any questions, just give us a call at 661-599-7226. We do everything from race cars to micro sprint cars, signs, banners, full vehicle wraps for commercial vehicles, or full color changes on your exotic vehicle, whatever you're looking for. Thank you.